This kid fucking jumped off! Oh my fucking god! Oh, bye-bye! Oh shit! That shit! Hey, the buoy! Yo, this kid's fucking gone, bro!
Today I wanted to do a video on the tragic case of Cameron Robbins, a young man who jumped off a cruise ship in the shark-infested waters because he was dared to. During this video, I will be talking about some pretty graphic and possibly disturbing theories that may have happened to him. So if this video isn't for you, and I completely understand, please consider checking out other videos on my channel. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the case of Cameron Robbins. Cameron Robbins was an 18-year-old man who recently graduated high school from University Laboratory School, which also operates as part of Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. He played baseball while attending the school, and according to reports, he attended the school for over 13 years. After graduating, he and a few others decided to celebrate by booking a party boat called Blackbeard's Revenge, which is located in the Bahamas. On the evening of May 24th, from videos that have surfaced, we see a very lively atmosphere, with the ship filled with intoxicated people. For the most part of the evening, seemed to be going pretty well, at least at first. However, that all changed around 9:40 p.m., when Cameron was reportedly dared to jump off the boat. Unfortunately, he agreed, and leapt into the water. Almost immediately, however, something was wrong. A disoriented and potentially impaired Cameron can be seen struggling as soon as he entered the sea. A life preserve is thrown into the water for Cameron. However, he frantically swims the opposite way from the ship. The video then ends, and as of right now, it is the last known video of Cameron. The area where the boat was, in Montego Bay, is known for its high density of sharks. It is known to have a fair variety, such as white tips, tiger, and even bull sharks. The latter two have a fearsome reputation for being extremely dangerous to humans. And if you look closely at the video, we can see something moving almost as soon as Cameron enters the water. In my opinion, it is most likely a small shark, between 4 and 6 feet. The way it jerks back tells me this wasn't some random motion, and a more deliberate one. Add to the fact that sharks are more active at night, also adds indeed to this being a shark. Another reason is that sometimes ships tend to throw leftover food overboard, instead of disposing of it another way. I'm not saying this ship did this. However, sharks have been known to associate ships with food. Now, with a bit of information leading up to the event, here is what I believe could have happened. However, it's just my opinion, and I could completely be wrong. Theory 1. Cameron jumps into the water, possibly intoxicated, and regretted his decision right away. He was treading water and terrified. Unsure of where to go, he began to panic, and picked a direction and tried to swim to shore. However, in his panic, he ran out of energy fairly quickly and drowned. Theory number 2. Cameron hit the water and saw the small shark, either its movement in the water or a fin. He decides to swim away from the shark. However, as he thrashed in the water, he attracted other sharks nearby, and the much larger one decided to attack after a while of seeing Cameron struggle. I don't think he was attacked right away, as he would have most likely screamed, and as of right now, no reports of him doing so have been reported. If I had to guess, I would say theory number 2 is most likely. There have been cases of sharks picking off those who fell into the water, so this is not out of the ordinary. A famous case being the sinking of the USS Indianapolis, where it was sunk by a Japanese ship in World War II. For the next few days, the survivors went through hell, where they were picked off, one by one, mostly by oceanic white-tip sharks. Estimates are between a few dozen to 150 being attacked and eaten. Cameron Robbins was a young man who had his whole life ahead of him. Unfortunately, he made a horrible mistake, which cost him his life. And although his death was certainly tragic, it does bring home the fact that the ocean can be terrifying and should never be taken lightly. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to make more videos for you soon. I'm also going to link a GoFundMe page set up for Cameron, and if you would like to donate, please feel free. Thank you once again, and have a great weekend.
They come from nowhere, wow. Oh, juice.
January 28th, 1963. Australian actress Marcia Hathaway was enjoying her day off by going to Sydney's Little Bay Beach. The famous actress was extremely busy and did not get a lot of time off, so when the rare occasion came, she tried to make the best of it, and for the most part, this day was no different from the others. Her and 6 other friends, including her fiancé, Frederick Knight, had planned a day of boating and picnicking by the water. However, after a few hours, one of the men dared Marcia to jump into the water to prove she could swim. She obliged and jumped in. She immediately welcomed the cool sensation. However, after a few minutes, Frederick became worried. Marcia started swimming further and further away from the boat. Worried, he told her not to go too far offshore. She looked at him and smiled and nodded her head. Frederick then saw a small striped fish swim past his knee. It couldn't have been more than a foot long. For the next few moments, he stared at it, trying to figure out what kind of species it could possibly be. However, his focus was then interrupted by the terrifying screams of Marcia. He looked over and saw a sight that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He never saw that look before in his girlfriend. In fact, he never saw that expression before in his life. And as the water turned red all around her, he knew what it was. It was the gaze of true and utter fear, as Marcia was being eaten alive in front of her friends. Hello, my name is Joseph Palmer, and today I wanted to talk about the heartbreaking death of actress Marcia Hathaway, a 32-year-old woman who was eaten alive by a shark while swimming in Little Bay Beach in 1963. A quick warning before we begin. There are some photos of the aftermath of the attack, which I will show in this video. So if this isn't for you, I completely understand, and recommend checking out other videos on my channel, as I'm sure you'll find a few that will interest you. Now without further ado, let's begin. Marcia Nellie Hathaway was born on February 8, 1930, in Milsons Point, New South Wales. Ever since she was little, Marcia always dreamed of becoming an actress, working tirelessly to study screenplays. In the beginning, she found work as a voice actress, starring in many radio dramas for Australia's largest radio station, Sydney Radio. She did well in her early years. However, it wasn't until 1960 when she landed the role in the film Shadow of the Boomerang. It is the story of American brother and sister, Bob and Kathy Prince, who moved to Australia to manage a cattle station owned by their father. Bob has a racist attitude and always has a negative word to add. Kathy, on the other hand, is sincere, lovable, who provides a reasonable balance. But after hearing a message by evangelist Billy Graham on the radio, Bob has a change of heart and learns to accept the Aboriginal people. The film was received well, getting relatively decent scores, and in 1961, Marcia secured a role on the TV film Harley Quinn. At this point in time, the 31-year-old actress was a working actor, and people believe her star would only increase from there. She also found love, becoming engaged to a man by the name of Frederick Knight. Unfortunately, all good things cannot last forever, and on January 28, 1963, Marcia, Frederick, and a few other friends decided to spend the day on the water, in Middle Harbor. During the boat trip, a friend dared Marcia to prove she could swim. Not wanting to disappoint, she jumped into the water. Frederick joined her, and after a few moments, Marcia believed she was struck by an octopus in just 30 inches of water. Quote, "We had been in the water for about 5 minutes, and I was about 12 to 15 feet away from Marcia, with my back to her. And then I heard her call out, 'I think an octopus has got me.' But when Knight looked down, his blood ran cold. Instead of an octopus, he saw his lover being dragged underwater by a bull shark. He sprang into action and bravely tried to wrestle the massive bull shark, even straddling its back at one point in his efforts to free Hathaway. However, the shark had sunk its jagged teeth deep into her thigh. I kept hold of Marcia and kept trying to drag her away from the shark," Knight told the Sydney Morning Herald following the attack. "The water was stained with blood, and I never thought I would get her away from it. I think at one stage I had my foot in its mouth. It was soft and spongy." Knight, along with other friends, managed to wrestle Marcia away from the shark. Nearby boat owners saw the attack and sprang into action, ripping sheets off their bunks to use as tourniquets. Marcia was quickly losing blood, and time was running out. Finally, when the ambulance arrived, another issue occurred. It broke down. A dozen men tried their best to push the ambulance up a hill, but after a while they realized they would need to get another one. Knight remembered being stunned at how Hathaway remained calm as she lost consciousness. When I asked her if it hurt, she told me, "No, I am not in pain. I have seen men die, but I have never seen anyone as brave as Marcia." I think the last words she said to me were, "Don't worry about me, dear. God will look after me." By the time another ambulance arrived at the scene, Hathaway had stopped breathing and passed away from her injuries. Riled up by her tragic demise, locals returned to the area to snare the bull shark. They reportedly caught the beast they believed killed the actress and put it on display for the public. In 1963, floodlights of St. Stephen's Church were donated to the memory of Marcia. A plaque inside the church reads, "The floodlights of this church were donated by members of the performing arts to the glory of God and in memory of Marcia Ann Hathaway, actress and devout Christian, victim of a shark attack in Middle Harbor." Marcia Hathaway was a beautiful woman, well on her way to becoming a star. Unfortunately, her life was cut short by a bull shark. Although Marcia passed away, she left behind a loving fiancé who would cherish her memory for the rest of his life. June 9th, 2023 was an exciting day for Vladimir Popof. The 23-year-old arrived at a popular beach in Harada. He was with his girlfriend and father, Yuri Popov. Almost as soon as he arrived, the young man dove into the water. It was cold, but not overwhelming, and in no time, the temperature was just perfect. There were others in the water as well, including young children, splashing away and laughing. Everyone on that beach seemed to be truly having a great time. Unfortunately, it would not last, because lurking a few feet below the joyful swimmers was a large tiger shark. And in minutes, the happy and excited screams would turn into that of utter fear and panic, as everyone on that beach would witness the heartbreaking last moments of Vladimir Popov. Hello, my name is Joseph Palmer, and today I wanted to talk about the horrific last moments of Vladimir Popov, a 23-year-old Russian man who was ripped apart by a large tiger shark. Now, to be honest, this is probably the most disturbing video I have ever done. Not necessarily because of the death itself, but because of his last moments. They were captured on video, and his terrified screams for his papa will make you sick, to say the least. Now, please keep that in mind as we dive into the attack and history of the beach, as just last year, 2 others lost their lives as well. Now, without further ado, let's begin. In order to understand what happened that day, I think we should go back to a year ago, on July 2nd, in the Red Sea, where Vladimir was killed. 2 women were fatally attacked on the same day, an unidentified Romanian woman and a 68-year-old Austrian woman named Elizabeth Sauer. She was a former Austrian counselor trying to enjoy the hot weather by going for a swim. Reports say Elizabeth was seen walking in shallow water near the beach, but reportedly told her partner, "I'll go back in for a moment." Unfortunately, as she started to go deeper into the water, she was attacked by either a mako or oceanic whitetip. Also, like Vladimir, her last moments were caught on camera. In the video, you see Elizabeth slowly trying to get back to shore. All around her is blood, and the cries from the worried beachgoers can be heard. The shark took both an arm and a leg from Elizabeth, but despite all of that, she managed to come to shore. but was pronounced dead not long after. The government acted quickly, shutting down several parts of Red Sea beaches on Saturday, also banning water activities, including diving, snorkeling, windsurfing, and kite sailing. Meanwhile, fishing boats are banned from the waters of Harada. Now, here is the problem with this area, and why shark attacks, in my opinion, will increase. A senior researcher at the Institute of Oceanology of the Russian Academy of Sciences told Russian media about the causes of the incident and ways to protect against underwater predators. At the beginning of the summer vacation season, in many resorts, including Egyptian ones, the number of vacationers increased sharply. Tourists in particular are invited on diving and physical excursions that take place on ships, where people eat fish and meat, drink wine, and enjoy beautiful views. The oceanologist noted, one of the factors that influence the fact that sharks have recently started attacking people more often is the unconscious feeding of these predatory fish. On food tours, unlucky cooks cut meat, fish on the ship, and their remains, fins, intestines, blood, and hooves, are thrown overboard, as they are too lazy to bring it all back to shore. Another reason for the aggressive behavior of sharks is the routes that cattle ships take when crossing the Red Sea, on which there are sheep, cows, goats, and pigs. During the summer months, due to the heat, poor diet, and lack of water, it is not uncommon for animals to die, and their carcasses are to be thrown overboard. These cattle trucks are followed across the sea by sharks because they have food. The sharks are actively moving along the fairway of the movement of these cattle trucks. Then a massive outing into the sea of the gourmet tourists and yachts. A massive drumming of guts, blood, fins, and hooves overboard. And though consequently, the sharks turn towards the coast, where it smells of blood, the ship sets off again and leaves a trail of blood in the water. The sharks come to the shore. Then they start looking for food near the shore. Any tourist floating on the surface can serve as food. So basically, with cattle ships dumping dead animals overboard, and people knowingly or unknowingly feeding the sharks, it becomes nearly guaranteed that events like this will happen. Now let's talk about the heartbreaking video of Vladimir Popof. Normally I would show the video, however, it's truly one of the most disturbing videos I have ever seen. And I'm not just saying that for dramatic effect. It truly is heartbreaking. If you want to see the video, I'll link it below, but trust me, it's better off you don't. So here's what happened to Vladimir in the video. He is seen splashing wildly and crying out for help. We can see the water turn red with blood. He then flips upside down, and the shark gets a hold of his arm. He manages to get upright, but that is when the large female shark comes out of the water and bites down on his shoulder. It then takes him under, and the water goes still. His girlfriend and others were in the water with him at the time, but they managed to escape. Vladimir's last reported words were, "Papa, save me." Yuri, who watched his son get eaten, said, quote, "The fate of my son is tragic. It could have happened anywhere, but it was Vladimir's destiny." The shark who killed Vladimir was caught and beaten to death by beachgoers. Its stomach was then cut open to reveal Vladimir's head and other body parts, proving it was indeed the shark that killed the young man. According to sources, the shark will be stuffed and put into a museum. There are rumors that this shark was responsible for killing the Romanian woman last year as well, but as of right now, these are just rumors. Vladimir was a young man who had his whole life in front of him. Tragically, he will never get to grow old, or even start a family of his own. I can only hope that he can find peace in the hereafter.